Thousands of young Nigerians travel to South Africa every year in search of world-class education, international exposure, and a chance to rewrite their story beyond Nigeria's borders. But beneath the certificates and global dreams are the complexities of identity, resilience, and survival. Now, they represent a generation that is both global in ambition and rooted in homegrown challenges. So what does it truly mean to be a young Nigerian student in South Africa today? That is what we'll be exploring on the show today. Welcome to Fafanua Africa. This is the show where we spotlight the youth, their challenges, their opportunities, and we try to prefer solutions to some of these challenges that they face on the African continent. My name is Blessings Mosugu, so sit tight, relax, and sip a cup of coffee because we will be back with a more insightful conversation. Stay with us. Now, for Nigerian students in South Africa, the journey isn't just about grades. It's about navigating documentation hurdles. It's about cultural expectations. It's about funding gaps and the invisible pressure of representing a whole nation abroad. Yet, through student-led communities, through academic excellence and resilience, they're changing the African narrative one campus at a time. And today we ask, what does Nigeria stand to lose or gain from its young diaspora? It's not about to be a monologue, like I always say. So joining us today, we have some very brilliant people who will be exploring the conversation with us. We have Omobolanle James, the President, National Association of Nigerian Students in South Africa. Thank you, Omobolanle James, for joining us. We also have Babatunde Ajayi, PhD candidate, Department of Civil Engineering, Stellenbosch University. Thank you so much, Babatunde Ajayi, for joining us. So this is a very intricate conversation, to be honest, and it's a sensitive one at that. So I would like for us to explore this. When people hear that some Nigerian students are in South Africa or even anywhere, in the diaspora across the world, they automatically believe that they're living, a better life and have better chances. And, the climb is fairer to them than in Nigeria. So I want us to have this conversation very truthfully. I'll start with James. Okay, let me start with Omobolanle. How large is the Nigerian student community in South Africa, and what draws most of them to even study there in the first place?
Good afternoon, Blessing. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. First and foremost, the National Association of Nigerian Students in South Africa would like to appreciate your team for giving us this opportunity. With regards to how large we are, I would say we are about 3,000 Nigerian scholars that we know of in our database, and this includes undergrads, postgrads. By postgrad, I mean those doing honors, those doing masters, and those doing their PhDs. And also we have postdoctoral fellows. So we're about 3,000 plus, if not more. And what draws us to South Africa? I would say stability within the education system. Like we normally say, it's a form of educational tourism for us. So apart from stability, knowing that when you do apply or get registered, you are sure of finishing within a specific period of time. And also the availability of when we look at South Africa in general, most of the institutions have got a very strong research base. So I would say that is also another thing that does drop students down to South Africa.
All right, thank you so much for that, Omobolanle James. 3,000 plus scholars, that's a huge number. And that will bring me to my next question. Let me find out from Babatunde Ajayi now. Babatunde Ajayi, if you can hear me, what would you say is the biggest adjustment that these over 3,000 scholars, Nigerian students, have to make when they arrive in South Africa, including culture shock, economic realities and the rest?
Thank you so much, Blessing, for this opportunity once again. As the president has said, we don't take it for granted. One of the adjustments we need to make as Nigerian students in South Africa is acclimatizing ourselves or enduring the weather condition here in South Africa, which can pose a lot of challenges to students, especially considering the type of weather we have in Nigeria. And coming to a weather that is strange or to our body system in South Africa. So we need to adjust to that. Another thing is the language barrier as well, of which, like many other Nigerian students in diaspora faces, we also need to face that as well. When it comes to research as well, we need to acclimatize ourselves with the institutional environment to ensure that our research also is in line with the development of the world, of the nation in general.
All right. Thank you, Babatunde Ajayi, for that. I do know about the weather condition there, and it's not one the Nigerians are used to, for sure. Let me come back to Omobolanle James. Now, we've heard time and time again that there is an increasing cost of passport renewal in recent time abroad. How has this affected the access to education and internships?
Oh, that is one of the big challenges that we do have in South Africa. And I want to believe by extension, all other students within, as in the diaspora, does face. However, before I speak on that, I would just like to appreciate the Nigerian consulate, Ambassador Bashir, and Ambassador Temitope, the Nigerian High Commission. I want to believe that there has been a drastic change in terms of time for passport production when it comes to renewal. However, the increment of late has actually posed a strain on students because cost of renewal of for your passport. But rather it's on the high side. And also this also, when students cannot actually easily afford this, it also affects the renewal of their visa, which is another very strong challenge that a lot of Nigerian students face. So that is a big hurdle that we believe that we would really appreciate if the Nigerian government can actually look into, especially high cost of passport renewal.
All right, let me still stay with you, James. We've talked about the passport renewal, and I know that is like one of the so many challenges that Nigerian students are facing, in South Africa. I think another challenge is the emotional and mental toll of constantly having to prove your validity as an African student, abroad, especially because this is also a continental movement. You just moved within the continent, not outside. And we've talked over and over again about making Africa one huge market in terms of trade, education, and the likes. But then as a Nigerian student having to continually prove your validity in another African country, how tiring is that mentally and physically?
Oh, that is very tiring. That is very, very tiring. Especially a bulk of Nansa members, that's the Nigerian students in South Africa, are postgrads. And then, we are already used to a certain type of academic system in Nigeria. By the time we get here, it's a different ball game entirely, And also, like the vice president did mention, trying to adjust to the weather and other things, the language, then also finding yourself in a school environment where you also, as in there has been precedents laid for you as a Nigerian student, because the truth of the matter is in most South African institutions, we've got very, very, as the Nigerian scholars are rated high for excellence. So now there is a very high pedestal that has been set for us by previous scholars. And definitely we all need to prove that. So it is always a bit taxing to balance up. However, I think Nansa has provided a platform, which by extension all Nigerian students at various institutions here in South Africa. I've also provided a platform whereby we try to mentor ourselves. You find the postdoc mentoring the doctoral students, you find the doctoral mentoring the master's honors and those undergrads. So we've been able to find a way of balancing that and encourage others, encourage ourselves to navigate those challenges easily. So it's not as bad as it would have been if we didn't have a platform like Nansa to do that.
Okay, it's good to know about the platform that makes things easier. Let me come to Babatunde Ajayi now, and we're still talking about the whole, in access and the likes. How easy or difficult would you say it is to access the support of Nigerian government from scholarships to embassy services, and even, the fact that you are diasporians, the NIDCOM and the likes? How easy or difficult would you say it is to access support?
Thank you so much for that question. As we all know, it's very expensive to study here in South Africa. And I would like to appreciate the effort of the South African government and institution for providing scholarships and bursary for a lot of Nigerian students that are studying in South Africa here. But it's actually crucial to mention that not all expenses are covered by this scholarship and bursary that are provided for most of us, especially when it comes to research conferences, attendance, so that we can also go collaborate with our international friends, share knowledge, and make connections as well. However, because of lack of funding, Nigerian students, a lot of us are unable to engage in all those kind of activities, which is not good for our professional career. And secondly, we've not been receiving any support from the Nigerian government, of which I will appreciate. If Nigerian government can do something to support the Nigerian student in diaspora in such a way that we can have access to our local fundings in support of whichever other fund bursary we have to supplement our living expenses and research conferences and workshops.
All right, I'm glad that you brought that up because that's a very important part of even schooling. If we say that it's a scholarship and not all aspects of it are covered, then something needs to be done in that regard. Now, I also want to find out about misconceptions. Now, as a journalist, I was in Johannesburg a month ago, and we talked about misconceptions, and that's, it's not one way between South Africa and Nigerians, the misconceptions that both countries have about each other. So on campus, what are some, and this question is directed at Omobolanle James, what are some common misconceptions that South Africans have about Nigerians that might also be detrimental or dangerous? I say that because, there's always that saying that South Africans don't like foreigners, especially Nigerians. Do you experience or notice anything similar to that?
Very much. I would actually say, my apologies, but I would say that the media is not really doing justice to that, because most of the narratives out there would say about 90% or maybe 80-70% wrong, because first and foremost, if is it as the media does put it, then probably those 3,000 Nigerians that are presently studying in South Africa wouldn't even have visas in the first place to even get into the country, or have access to supervisory link bursary or even NRFs and the likes, which is solely a South African government thing. So I think on campus, there is no form of bias within it. And I would say this because when you look at various institutions in South Africa, you will find out that just like every other international student and every citizens of South Africa, we do have Nigerians graduating with distinctions, getting Dean Awards, Vice Chancellor's Awards, and all. So it is a level playing ground within the academic environment in South Africa for Nigerians and all other foreign nationals alike. So on campus, it is a fair level playing ground for each and every one of us.
Okay, it's good to know that, and definitely these are the reasons we're asking this question so that the media can be informed. We cannot exactly do justice to what we don't know about, isn't it? Okay, so in terms of that, I would also, still staying on that topic, I'd like to find out from Babatunde Ajayi, has there been any experience with xenophobia or racial profiling, amongst the students? I know that Omobolanle James has talked extensively about that, but I want to hear your own part of it.
All right, thank you so much. That's a very good question, of which I would like to be diplomatic in my response concerning the xenophobic in South Africa. As a matter of fact, within this institution or campuses, we've not recorded any xenophobic attack on any of our members. And I won't be able to report more of what I don't know. So as far as we are concerned, there's no xenophobic attack within campus, within institutions, and all our members are safe, especially when you are legally here.
It's good to know that, genuinely. All right, so let me come back to Omobolanle James. What are the biggest academic and cultural shocks? I know that we talked about this earlier, but there must be some academic and cultural shocks, even, in terms of socialization and the rest, the Nigerian students experience when transitioning into South African institutions. I know for a fact, and this is on a lighter note, that the fact that there's no pepper in South Africa is a problem for some people. So what are some of the culture shocks?
With regards to that, I think for like I said earlier, a good number of us that are studying in South Africa are postgrads. So it's either you've had the opportunity of doing your NYSC in Nigeria, or you've studied at a different states from your like state of origin or state of residence. So you'll be already used to that. However, first and foremost, like the VP did say, the first shock to most of us is understanding that in Africa, it can also snow, or it does snow. So that is a big one that I did put out there. Also, another shock I think that most students find is the diversity and uniqueness in every African. Personally, for like me, when I came in newly, and I think for like most Nigerians that have also seen, the way we do relate to our elders is different from the way South Africans does that. And the beauty of it is not a disrespect. It is just part of the culture. And then also, as in, I think for like most of us also understanding that when you look at Nigeria, you did say, okay, this is native attires. And but in South Africa, it is not as such. You can easily go to like a South African wedding in a very nice English outfit, and you don't look out of place. So I think those things play in. The food, like you also said, it's totally different. The chakalaka, the pap, like a lot of things. So it is a shock. However, I did say it is a wonderful experience for like most of us, because we are like open to learn from not just our South African brothers and sisters, but from our Zim brothers, DRC and the likes, because we are all in the same class together, taking lectures and learning one or two things. So that's unified, understanding that despite as in the borders in Africa, there's still a lot of similarities amongst each and every one of us as Africans. Yeah.
All right, James, thank you so much for that. I mean, chakalaka remains my favorite South African dish till now,
So you see,
to be
and it's
honest.
not my favorite.
Really? I mean, if you like beans, you
No,
definitely
it's not
like
my
it.
favorite. Although I like it, but not.
Okay, all right. I mean, okay, let me come to Babatunde Ajayi now. And I like that, James, you talked about Nansa. Babatunde Ajayi, how has Nansa stepped in where formal systems have failed, especially in terms of emergencies or crisis situations? You don't have to be overly diplomatic with your answers.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that question. NISA has played crucial roles when it comes to securing the comfortability of our members. In time of crisis that you made mention of, NASA remains the intermediate between the members and the officials, government officials, the High Commission and the Consul General in Johannesburg. So when any crisis arises, we ensure that we contact the relevant authorities and rehearse with them to see the legal way to sort out a crisis and other related issues.
All right, thank you for that. Let me stay with you, Babatunde Ajayi. Do you feel represented within South Africa's university systems? And hear me out. I'm talking about in terms of the curriculum, you know, coming from Nigeria. And then you mentioned that, you know, it's not just many people are doing their PhDs and the like. So you probably have been exposed to a whole lot of things in Nigeria in terms of curriculum, educational system and all that. Do you feel represented as a Nigerian? Does the curriculum represent your interest as a Nigerian? And, you know, the Pan-African interest within South Africa's university systems, and why, if you do or you don't?
Thank you so much. Concerning the curriculum system in Nigerian to South Africa, Nigerians have been doing great exploits, especially in South Africa here, as the president has earlier said, that we are proud of ourselves, making ourselves giving excellence to whatsoever we're doing here. So whenever we find ourselves as students here, though we might have some background issues that can affect us in studying, but we try to man up and ensure that we are not left behind. And trust me, our service is very relevant here. We are not just studying here, doing our research, we are also contributing academically to the environment which we find ourselves in the department and to the institution as well.
All right, thank you so much for that.
So okay. I don't know if that captures your question.
Oh, it does, it does. Thank you for that answer. Many thanks for staying with us. In case you're just joining us, you've missed one half of the show, but you haven't missed the entire segment. We're still talking about how Nigerian students navigate their way through school in the diaspora using South Africa as a case study. And that's to show that it's not only challenging when you go outside of the continent, even within the continent, but it's not just challenges, there are also opportunities too. I still have my amazing guests with me, two gentlemen, Omobolanle James, as well as Babatunde Ajayi. And I have just one more question for each of them before we allow them go for the next set to come in. But it's been a very interesting conversation so far. So let me start with Omobolanle James. Now, there's a phenomenon that people always talk about that seem to not be talked about enough, but at the same time, people are now beginning to embrace that, and that is the reality of loneliness, right? And I think that that doesn't only apply outside of the continent, but it applies to anyone who relocates away from where their family or friends are based. So I want to ask you in that regard, do you think that this is a challenge that students, Nigerian students in South Africa and even beyond are having to deal with, the issue of loneliness, you know, in addition to the culture shock and not being able to see their family as often?
Thank you very much. Definitely, it is a big reality, because oftentimes for majority of us who probably came in for our postgrads, we see the undergrads who have their parents on ground in South Africa, and we are like, how we wish we can enjoy that what do I call it? That opportunity. However, aside from Nansa being a platform that helps to bring everyone together, with our programs and the likes. There are other various Nigerian communities in South Africa that also does that. But most importantly, I think most South African universities have been able to understand that fact, and there are avenues on various campuses for like, how will I put it? Counseling rooms and all that, as in specific departments rather within most international offices at various institutions that help foreign students deal with the issue of loneliness, and try as much as possible to ensure it doesn't affect their mental health or affect their performance where their educational outcome is concerned. So I think in a way it's a big issue. However, South African education system has been able to help us navigate it to a certain extent. Nansa has also tried to create a platform to ensure that there is social and a lot of social interactions between our members as well as other Nigerian communities. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that. Babatunde Ajayi, let me ask you, if you were to give a piece of advice to a Nigerian seeking to study in South Africa, for example, what would be that one piece of advice that you give to the person? It could be anything.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, I can hear you. Thank you for that question. In addition to what the president has said, the provision that the university, the institutions, South African institutions have made to counter all those kind of loneliness. We also have different branches of Nansa in various campuses which represent the Nigerian students. And in so doing, we engage in different or diverse kind of social activities that makes our members to feel home abroad. We speak the same language, have the same foods, and we are sure that every of our members are carried along. Once they find themselves in South Africa, we engage them in those kind of activities that makes them to not to feel lonely in South Africa. And I will encourage or advise any Nigerians coming to South Africa, I will advise them not to disassociate themselves from the Nigerian student body in each campus or in all campuses, and also not to dissociate themselves from Nansa as well.
All right, that said, unfortunately, I mean, it's been a very interesting conversation, but unfortunately, we would have to let you both go now. I want to say a big thank you to the two amazing gentlemen who have done justice to this conversation. Omobolanle James, the President, National Association of Nigerian Students in South Africa, Nansa, and Babatunde Ajayi, the PhD candidate, the diplomatic one, Department of Civil Engineering, Stellenbosch University. Thank you so much for joining us, and good luck with your studies in SA. I'll probably visit South Africa soon. I'll see you both.
Oh, we would love to see you as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Many thanks for staying with us on Fafanua Africa. This is a show that spotlights the youth, and today we're talking about Nigerian students studying abroad and using South Africa as a case study. We've had an extensive conversation about that with my two earlier guests, and we will still continue the same conversation. And joining me to have this conversation is Damilare Babatunde, the Secretary, National Association of Nigerian Students in South Africa, Nansa. Damilare Babatunde, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Blessing. Thank you for having me on Fafanua Africa.
All right, it's a pleasure to have you join us. Damilare, now we have talked about, this issue. I spoke with Omobolanle James, the president, and of course, Babatunde Ajayi earlier about the issue of the culture shock and the level of support that, Nigerian students in South Africa are enjoying, or the lack of it thereof, from the government of both countries, and whether or not they feel seen and safe in the South African climate. And so far, the responses have been positive. Not like we're looking for negative responses, but we're just trying to see how Nigerian students navigate their experiences in, other parts of the world. And we're using South Africa as a case study. So now I want us to explore the brain drain paradox. We talk a lot about brain drain. When we see young people living in Nigeria whether to study or not, the possibilities or chances of them returning to Nigeria are slimmer at first. And I said at first because there's now a jackpada phenomenon where people, after spending years outside, want to come back. But initially, it's not really the case. So in your opinion, how much talent are we losing? And what does that mean for Nigeria long term? All right, while we're waiting to establish connection with Damilare, in case you're joining us, you're just joining us. Okay, Damilare, can you hear me?
All right, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, I have your question, and I believe the president and the vice president have done justice to the question earlier, but I feel like, there's something about traveling to other African countries. It's just that we are not being heard enough compared to those in the Western world, in UK or USA or other, the Western world. So I believe if we have more opportunities or more chances to speak out like this, like the platform that is giving us, so it will really let people at home know what we are facing. And one thing I just want to say about that is, because you talk about the brain drain coming back to Nigeria, to what we have gained here in South Africa, in abroad, in other African countries, what we have gained, how we can come back to impact the country, share our knowledge, share what we have gained. Actually, is something that we wish we could. But looking at what is happening back in Nigeria, so many people don't want to go back. And I believe we can also do something. Government can come up with something to help the students to come back. Like, for example, internship. Having internship back in Nigeria that pays a lot, that can support the students also. And also opportunities, job opportunities. We know that one of the major reasons why even those that have jobs back in Nigeria are going out, traveling out, seeking for more opportunities is because of this. If we have job opportunities that can accommodate what we have learned so far, what we have gained so far here, I think most people would love to go back to Nigeria. I love my country, I love my father's land, and I would love to share what I've gained so far here back home.
Find out what are the systemic barriers that are keeping diaspora students from contributing meaningfully back home?
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah. What do you say?
All right, so I was talking about what are the systemic barriers that are keeping diaspora students from contributing meaningfully back home, whether while they're still in school or when they're done with school?
Lately, I think one of the systemic barriers is having to listen to us. For example, lately, I see that Nigerian government are improving on this. I really want to appreciate the minister in charge of diaspora, and she has really tried to set up how diasporans can help people back home, investments, how they explain. Last 2 weeks we attended this tax reform. They explain about the tax and everything. But that's for those people that travel out. We're talking about students now coming back to really impact things back home. So many students are really disconnected from that reality. And I believe if we can come up with that engagement whereby we can invite other student bodies outside Nigeria, in Africa, in the Western world, they can come back home, have, discussions. Because I know in our, what's it called now? In our, in the group that we have for Nansa that we discuss a lot about politics, about so many things, and how students are failing to go back to Nigeria. Even they are not encouraged, but I feel that there are some people that feel we should go back. We discuss a lot in our group, And I believe if we can come up with platforms whereby we can invite other students from everywhere in the world that can contribute meaningfully to what is going on in Nigeria, how we can impact Nigeria, how we can really help. We are here now, so many times we'll see what is going on here and we compare it to back home. I'll be like, oh, we want this also back home. But we see that our voices are not being heard, and that's what we want.
So, that said, what policy or program do you think that Nigeria can create today that would change the lives of Nigerians studying abroad?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me, Damilare? Damilare, can you confirm you can hear me, please? All right, well, waiting to reestablish connection with Damilare. We're still talking about how Nigerians are navigating their way through school in the diaspora, and we're using South Africa as a case study. We've explored the so many different parts of these challenges and even the opportunities. And thankfully, the first two gentlemen that we had talked about how supportive the government of South Africa and that of Nigeria has been in terms of ensuring that Nigerians in the diaspora are well settled. And they also talked about the fact that the curriculum positions them, in a Pan-African way, not just limited to, the South African culture, but even those in Nigeria can completely relate to the curriculum. We've also explored the culture shock. Someone talked about the fact that it snowed in Africa. One wouldn't have imagined. But beyond the light-hearted jokes, we've talked about how navigating loneliness, how Nigerians themselves have been able to come up with, groups, and that is what has birthed Nansa, and they've been able to have social activities, they've been able to meet each other, and these are some of the things that some Nigerians in the diaspora are lacking because that alone leads to a lot of loneliness. Imagine not having to see your family or being around your friends or people that you grew up with. So these are some of the things that we're exploring. But then on the economic part and the government part as well, we've talked about some policies and programs, and unfortunately we're yet to have Damilare. I'm sure they will let me know when we have him back. But we've talked about some policies that it is in existence, and we're trying to look at the policy or program that Nigerians could create. Damilare, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm here.
Great. Okay, so before we lost the connection there, I was trying to find out what policy or program Nigeria can create that would change the lives of Nigerians that are studying abroad.
Oh, yeah. One of the, there are so many things, there are so many policies. I believe we are not the first scholars here now. We have our seniors out there that have gone ahead, that will come up with so many ideas and everything. But one thing that I learned from here is that they have a lot of symposiums, a lot of conferences, a lot of discussions at the university level. Also, calling so many parastatals together to discuss about how the country can move on, even in the scientific world, because I'm a chemist and I study chemistry here at the University of South Africa. We attend so many discussions like that I believe this can also help us in Nigeria. We can come up with conferences that will invite people to discuss, and not only discuss, making a final verdict that will be implemented. The only thing is not about discussion. Discussion is easy, but the action to take behind the discussion, the recommendation to really do what we recommend and whenever we discuss. So I believe we can come up with so many things. We have so many ideas. I'm just talking general now. So, but the action behind it, how can we implement them? That is what the problem. That's what we are facing right now.
Okay, so let's talk about perception. And we've talked about perception from the other lens. When we talk about perception, we say, we don't have the right views about South Africa, or South Africans don't have the right views about us. But now, how do we create agenda or change perceptions? And I'm talking about Nigerian students in terms of using academics, innovation, and leadership, as opposed to complaining that Nigerians or the Nigerian media is not doing enough to create the perception or let South Africans see us in a positive light. How are the Nigerian students representing Nigeria in terms of academics, innovation, and leadership to shift the perspectives of South Africa and even the global perceptions of Nigeria?
Yes, to be candid, Nigerians have really contributed a lot in this country. We're talking about our professors, we're talking about our postdocs. They are really doing well. Taking my university, for example, I've seen postdocs, they've just like what the president said earlier, that they've said, oh, I think the VP said that they've set the precedence that this is the mark and we shouldn't perform below that. We are really representing Nigeria very well, and we are changing the narrative. I remember there was a time that I helped someone with his laptop because of something, and it was like, I thought you Nigerians, they are all for drugs, you are selling drugs, you are crime and everything. And I told him that, do I look like someone that sells drugs? I helped you, and you feel like, oh, we are good with crime. No, it shouldn't be. So we are really representing Nigeria very well here as academics. Our professors are doing wonderfully well. You can search online. There are top 2 scientists in the world. You will find so many Nigerian professors in South Africa that have that, that award. And also, if you check so many best in corruption in the world, they are Nigerians, and they are right here in South Africa. So this is something that we also want to bring back to our country. We want to really impact our country, that they say, oh, this thing is coming from our country. We are really representing Nigeria very well here, as I say, so we are changing the narrative. And that's what we are preaching also in Nansa as a community.
Okay, well, we talked about this earlier, but I also want to get your view on it. In terms of Nansa building community, how do they encourage these students by building their morale, especially those that feel isolated and those that feel overwhelmed? Because we can talk about loneliness as an isolated topic and a rare occurrence, but it happens a lot to students who are not around their family or friends. So how does Nansa help to boost their morale and help them to not feel isolated or overwhelmed?
Nansa has really tried a lot. So we come up with events, we come up with workshops, symposiums. Like one is coming up on the 15th now, whereby we'll talk about how AI can help us in our academics and also in the world. And we also have meet and greets in our various institutions. So coming to South Africa, coming to a particular institution, it is very, very important to locate the Nigerian community there. We have meet and greets, we have get-togethers, so that we'll be able to discuss. You feel comfortable when you speak the same language with your fellow brother, even if you don't speak the same language. Just knowing that, oh, this person comes from Nigeria, it brings joy. Anytime I see anybody say, I'm Nigerian, I always go to that person because I feel happy seeing my brother, my sister around me. So we come up with events, we come up with conferences. Last year we had one whereby we came together, discussed about how we can help each other and also how we can move on, how we can live in South Africa. And the doctor forums are there, we have Nekasa, we have so many other Nigerian communities.
All right, Damilare.
That really helping each other. So for the case of okay.
All right, sorry to interrupt you, but because of our time, I want to quickly find out from Nwobodo Juliet. We finally have her joining me. Nwobodo Juliet is a final year student in the University of Johannesburg. Thank you, Juliet, for joining us against all odds. Juliet, we've been talking about Nigerians navigating their way through school in the diaspora, using South Africa as a case study. So I just want to find out from you, we've gotten the opinions of, other students, but let me find out from you, how do we make sure that Nigeria does not just celebrate its diaspora when they win awards? Because that seems to be what's happening. And then it feels like they're not recognized otherwise in every other instance. It's just when they stand out that they remember that they're Nigerians.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. To answer that, I feel like for us to recognize not only winning awards, it should be that opportunity. It should be that event that the government should take as the opportunity for the students to know about what is going on. It's a platform, and not really what is going on here. So we should not really be recognized only when we win an award or when we are out there. So I feel like there should be that opportunity to be very for us so that we also get to speak our voice and then know what is going on.
All right, Juliet, let me also find out from you, for someone who is building a part of her identity in a foreign land, what does home really mean to you? Because most times people have that conflict between whether or not, Nigeria is home or Nigeria and South Africa are home. What does home mean to you?
To me, home is a place where you find peace, right? I'm here, I'm undergraduate over here, so I've always wanted to, like, when I'm done with study, I want to go back home, to go work for my country, to put what I have learned to practice, right? I remember when I'm in the third year, I went into the internship. I really wanted to go back to Nigeria to do my internship. But then due to some technical issues, like I have to have a permit to study the course I'm doing in Nigeria. So it's a kind of like difficult, but home, I would say, is like a place where you find peace, where you find joy. So home for me, Nigeria is a home for me, is a place where you find peace and joy. So, yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Juliet. I would have loved to ask more questions, but unfortunately, for want of time, we'll have to close it here. But I want to say a big thank you to all our guests, those in absentia and both of you here. Damilare Babatunde, the Secretary, National Association of Nigerian Students in South Africa. Thank you for lending your voice to this. And of course, Nwobodo Juliet, final year student, University of Johannesburg. Thank you for joining us to discuss this very, very important conversation.
Thank you.